Nice. Hi, everybody.
Yep, you will save your introductions for a bit, but you can pop in and say hi to the general chat if you want. So usually the way this works through GTX is that we talk on here, right? But people will
Yeah.
live react and like ask questions in general chat, right? Where you pinged me before.
Right. Okay, I understand.
Yeah. So we're gonna give it a few minutes. So like, 'cause sometimes people need to see the announcements and then come join. But after that, we'll be ready to start.
Sounds good.
So today, Jax will be introduced in a bit, but today you've got me. I'm from Love Me as always, and then we've also got our two members, Truco and Crypt. In the future, I'm going to start having Drac more these kind of podcasts. So, Side Jack, you will get an introduction to JX. So, JX, do you have a game moniker that you prefer to go by, or do you just go by JX nowadays?
Bro, I just go by JX Mr. Simon actually.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah.
Simon, right? Got it.
That's my gamer handle. I should change this. Maybe it's a bit too late. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so I think I can start with introduction for JX. JX is a longtime friend of mine, and Tin. He's just as big a gamer as me and But when me and Tim were just doing traditional business, JX was working in film. Like he's a very dedicated filmmaker. He's made his own movies, and right now he's working with us, and he's in charge of the world building for SIPHER, right? So what this means is that JX is the mastermind behind, the story, everything that actually ties it together, right? So the story of the comic, story of the cinematic, story of the game, the narrative of the game, what's in the game, where the enemies are from. That's all from the side. Obviously, we have inputs here and there, but JX is like the captain steering the story ship, if you guys will. But JX, can you have a short introduction about yourself? Short, few sentence introduction so everyone can get to know you.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet everybody. My name is JX, and I'm a big gamer. But first and foremost, I'm a filmmaker and a storyteller. So I make traditional kind of films, TV series, and very grateful that my work has actually traveled to different film festivals such as Cannes, Toronto, Tokyo. But of course, those kind of mediums are a bit older. And when Tin contacted me last year to jump aboard the team to work on the story, not just with him, but with other writers as well. So I was very excited to be a part of it because, you can do so many things, and this is so relevant to where society is going, the kind of stories we're telling, not just about the game, but just about our relationship with technology and, of course, with cryptocurrency as well.
So, what would you say was your first reaction to like Cypher Universe? Right? Did you get it right away, or did you like have to take a bit to be like, oh, okay, I see where this is going? Like, what
I
did you
mean, I
think
mean,
about the universe at first?
I mean, when Tin, because we chat every now and then, but when he contacted me, he said, "Hey, I'm working on a video game." I was like, "Oh shit, are you really working on a video game?" And then he showed me some footage and everything, and I was really blown away. And I got what he was trying to do, but what I thought was really strong about it is because when we explore sci-fi spaces, often we depict it in a either very dystopian way, but of course, Cypher itself has a very different tone, a very clear identity in what it's supposed to represent in as a community as well, coming together to build something together. And that's a very exciting thing for me and my team of writers to find ways just to flesh out the experience so that you feel like you're shaping the world, and for the world to also give you that room to explore and to delve into the narratives as part of it as well. So just a lot of fun coming up and tossing ideas as part of that process, I guess.
So let's zoom in a little bit, right? Because I'm sure you have a lot you can tell about the story, but you don't want to give too many spoilers. So let's start small. Let's start with a comic. What was your inception inspiration for the comics? How did you get the two inspirations for the two main characters? Can you tell everyone a little bit about the two main characters?
Oh, I'm very excited about the two main characters. I think I worked on this with a writer I usually collaborate with, Luke Somasundram.
Yep.
And when we started off the comic, because we are both big comic book fans, both just not just Western comics like all the Marvel, DC stuff, but also a manga. Manga is so relevant in our society today. I think Jujutsu Kaisen Zero was the top. Came close to the Batman in just this week in the box office. But going back to the comic itself, we're thinking about what the role of the comic is, and I think for Cypher and for us as well, the game coming out of Asia, Southeast Asia, was how do we give it a certain unique vibe? Because we have seen the worlds that through the gameplay footage so far of what Cypher is, right? And we wanted to show that Cypher could be so many different parts as well. And so we wanted to give it this a little bit of a Hayao Miyazaki-esque kind of narrative set in the Siperian universe where we have these two characters and a very tender relationship. Because beyond the action and everything, I think so much of Cypher is just about these connections that people make, right? These genuine digital connections that people make. So we wanted to tell this story, and we have actually planned a total of 9 issues. Actually, we have planned out 9 issues about this emotional story between an older Buru and a younger Inu, and we see their relationship transform and grow across the 9 issues, coming to hopefully what will be a very exciting twist at the end, which will connect to the game itself. So everything is about connecting all the different stories together, so it feels like a connected universe. And who knows, maybe some of these two characters would pop up. But yes, going back to your question, yeah, I didn't forget. Your question was who these two characters are. And so we have older Buru character, and he's seen his fair share of things in life. He's now obviously a little bit more mellow. So it's almost like he's a bit like a retiree. He's kind of mellow. He enjoys fishing, and accompanying him is this very and over enthusiastic young Inu, right? Who's almost like asking questions all the time. Why this? Why that? To the point of it being irritating. And so we follow these two characters as they navigate the Siperian universe, and we learn about them as characters, who the Buru used to be, and who the Inu is going to be. And it's that coming of age tale that we wanted to tell through the 9 issues of the comic.
Awesome. I think everyone knows the Inu. Can you give a little hint to the Go holders? Will there be something? Will there be something that for them to be there and so, or is there only going to be Inu and Buru this first story arc?
Well, we are actually including a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of different characters who make an appearance. And I think I'm really excited. I want to say a lot of things, but I can't because I want
Yeah.
everybody to kind of experience it as they're reading it as well. With these lovely artists who would also draw for Marvel coming on board, it's been such a joy working with them to design the characters and to see what we wrote come to life as well. Um, it's going to be a kind of story that starts off like a great adventure, right? Sort of like One Piece and those kind of stories where we start off with understanding the characters, the world, and you are exploring the world, and then there are moments of humor, there are moments of danger, and there's moments where characters need to take decisions as well, which shape who they will become in the future. And I think that's going to be a full part of the story, which everybody will get to read soon, I hope. Yeah.
Very excited. So as just to cut you off there for a little bit, comics are expected to be delivered on the 31st of March. That's soon. That's in 5 days. Let's take a small step back from story, and let's just look about the mechanics of how the comics are going to be delivered. Right, Joel, can you follow up with what questions the community has for this? Okay, I can't hear you. I assume that is because your mic is not working. Okay, I'm gonna give Truco 5 seconds.
Can you hear me, bro?
Yeah, oh good.
Okay, so I'll ask
can you take
first,
the
yeah.
question? Yeah, go.
Comics will be coming in for holders, yeah. So how will they be released to our NFT holders? actually?
So I think we looked at it and we really looked at different mechanics, and at the end we decided that we wanted a very simple and straightforward system. So basically, as long as you are a holder of an Inu or an Echo, you will be able to read the comics. Simple as that.
Okay, and I assume it will be via an exclusive channel on Discord, correct?
Yes, correct. So as long as you
Okay.
have the verified status that you own an Inu or an Echo, you will be able to read the comment.
Okay, great. So I think JX mentioned
Right,
this
just
question. Yeah,
clarify,
sorry, go ahead.
chapter 1 comes the 31st of March. It'll be a monthly release.
I see. Okay, so it's one chapter every month. How many seasons are there? Did you mention?
Jax, you said it was 9 chapters, right? Would you say that's one season, or how did you think that is?
Yeah, I think it will be that. I will consider that one season. So
Okay.
what we plan to do is that we will start off the first season, and we would like to invite different artists, different writers to come in to tell different stories from Cypher as well. And of course, my co-writer and myself, we would find time to also write different stories just to drive the main narrative along, see some of the subplots from the game emerge as well, because in the game you may not get the full story, right? But if you get the game and you read the comic book, you appreciate why the characters do certain things a little bit more, things like that. Yeah.
So,
Okay, so JX, this is not an alternate story, lah. That means, right? It's all canon, correct?
Yes, I would consider it canon. We've been planning it to be canon. Yes.
awesome.
Okay, I
So,
see.
will there be a chance that we'll see these characters in the game to come? Wink, wink, maybe.
Well, I think my NDA prevents me from saying anything to do with that. I will leave it as I will leave it a secret and potentially a surprise. Yeah.
Can you talk a bit all about our cinematic? Nothing too detailed, but can you talk about the work that you've been doing? Expect to
Sure. So
happen?
So I think what's really interesting about this is that I've played so many video games. Right now I'm really enjoying Elden Ring as well. But getting a chance to do it yourself and to bring what I've learned into this, so much of it, of the world building, comes with the naming of things as well, choosing how to name things, choosing how to have certain naming conventions. So that's a big part of it. And in terms of naming the spaceships, for example, something that we are still working on. We're trying to find ways to make it feel connected to our present day society, and of course connected to also different elements of Asia as well. Because I think sometimes, being someone from Southeast Asia, and I'm sure there are people from all around the world here, but I would love to see a little bit more of Southeast Asia, some of the names come into canon, because we see so many Japanese names, for example. We see so many European, Anglo-Saxon names, but to see something coming from Southeast Asia, certain Southeast Asian mythologies and things come through in the world to make it feel like it is a big world and not just very dominated by Japan or the West, was very exciting to me. And so that's I guess the naming side of things. And then with regard to the storyline as well, this is something that's really interesting because when you write a film, that's it, right? You have a film, you try to keep it self-contained. You try not to write for sequels as well, so you can tell a tight, good story. Obviously, in this case, we're writing something that is coming out in, I guess, being a live service game, it comes out in bits and pieces, and to plan for that and to plan for storytelling beats. We have been thinking about that backstory and how it informs the future and what you're trying to do here. So I think we have created quite an interesting cast of characters with people who are like the Cyphers, but a previous generation of Cyphers. And of course, we have characters in the home territory. We're calling it the moon base for now. And I think those characters, I'm very excited to see everybody interact with it, because I think they all have their own distinctive sense of personalities, which I think will be very fun to explore, very funny to talk to as well. Um, and I think, obviously we all know, but Destiny is a great example of this. But how do we take Destiny and turn it into something very distinctive as well? But our story essentially follows some of these legendary ciphers. I guess all 48 of the audience members get a little bit of sneak preview with this. But you follow some of these legendary characters, and our characters come in at a point in time where we're trying to discover what happened in the past, that we're at this point in time now where we're trying to determine how we can move forward in the future. So there's a strong element of solving a mystery, but also a very clear goal as to what it's supposed to do. Obviously, to first and foremost, the clearest one being trying to discover what happened to these people. Why were they legendary? What did they do? What happened? Why are we here now? And I think we have tried to add elements in the game, being a roguelike, where you enter different rooms, a different kind of environmental storytelling with the decals and things like that, where you just get a little bit of a sense of what happened. And then slowly, I think we have seeded enough clues for everybody to speculate and to have a lot of fun while they're playing the game.
Oh man, I can't wait because I know you guys have been putting a lot of work on the NPCs, the chip of the world. So I'm hoping that in the future I can give little teasers and concept art of all these legendary stuff that came before us, right? Because I think they'll really build the backbone story and the things to come.
Yes, yes.
Do
It's
do we have an estimated date ETA without NTA for the cinematic?
for the cinematic itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the cinematic, this one I would consider it part of the game, so it would release when the game is released as well. If we talk about the other thing that we have been working on a little bit of is a trailer as well, like writing a trailer, just get very excited. And with that, we wanted to try to make the visuals and everything feel very cinematic and exciting and give a sense of what we can do in the game itself. But that's more to do with how we make the gameplay feel sexy and exciting. And of course, the gameplay itself needs to feel exciting, right? Because you have three characters, they need to interact with one another. You need to get a sense of every run in a roguelike being unique. And I think one of the clearest examples of this when I was thinking about it and talking to the team was when we're talking about Hades, right? And Hades it's actually a single player game, but imagine playing Hades with friends. I think that's a great way to think about how exciting the game will be.
For sure. I think Hades with friends is a great goal and definitely what we're striving for.
Yeah. So I think we're always trying new things. We're pushing some things as well. I think with the gameplay, and I mean with the story and things like that, it's always about like doing something that's a bit unexpected, right? So that it always feels very fresh and exciting. Because everybody has played so many games before, and I think being a gamer myself, I always appreciate it when games just take me, just surprise me in a way that you could do something. A character does something that changes the way you're supposed to interact with them, and I think we've seeded in quite a lot of it as well. So I think it would be. I'm quite excited to see it come to life, and it's a very long process. I'm not sure whether everybody knows this, but it's a long process because what we do first is that we'll write a treatment. So that's like writing a story. Then we'll turn it into a script, and all this we'll talk through as a team. And then we'll translate it with CG. We will have animators who will talk to the animation team. We'll see our storyboards, our script, and then they'll turn it into animatics. That means they'll use the 3D models to animate it, and then of course you have all the rigging, which means they turn them to puppet into a puppet. And then you would have, after you do the rigging, you have the lighting and you have the sound design. So I would say that I think the team has done a great job, and I'm very excited to see the final product come out. And hopefully the response will be good as well.
I think I know you guys have put in a lot of work, so I'm very excited for the response, and I'm very excited when we can roll out the cinematic to show that we really be in business for the upcoming launch.
Yeah. And I think also it's, if I were to just talk a little bit more, because the characters are so well designed by the art team, it's been a joy. Sometimes it's an interesting process because sometimes I think they have ideas, they'll send us the art and we'll write back stories for it. Or we will send them ideas and they'll draw it out and then we see it come to life. So things like the enemies in the game or the bosses in the game, I think sometimes it's worked this way, which has been really exciting. But going back to again, the three playable characters that we have, the Inu, the Neko, and the Buru, and just imbuing them with a sense of personality, so that even when you're playing these characters, they feel distinctive and of course, the world itself, with the characters and what they're referring to in on the moon base, because there will be a lot of hint of what the moon base used to be, and I think that's something that
Yeah.
that will emerge in time to come. Yeah.
I am very, very excited. You know what? I think we've given people enough alpha for the story that's coming, the NPCs, the cinematic. I think we just gotta wait. We just gotta make them wait patiently for that now. But let's move on to a slightly different. Let's go back to talking about world building, right? Because I'd love to hear you talk about the actual setting of Cypher, right? Because I know you've already like implemented like the origin of the world, how it came to be, who's running it right now, as well as like how the factions fit into everything. So can you talk a bit about that? Can you sneak peek like how this world is currently set up, or is that something that they have to find out?
Oh, well, how do I answer this? Um, World building. So I think maybe a good way to think about it is that we obviously we have seen. I think everybody here has seen a lot of content on the sites. We have seen the factions and everything, and I think right now we have crafted a narrative and a backstory which explains why people are playing the game, why we have a revive mechanic, and to make everything feel very seamless as well, so that it feels like you are in the world. But I think I'm a big fan of movies like The Matrix, for example, with Neo and the One, because I think films like that really it was the first film that really makes it very clear that our relationship with the digital world and what does freedom mean, right? And to me that was a very strong concept, especially when we think about cryptocurrency and something that is very decentralized, because we are in a state of time where there's a lot of agency of individuals being lost because we have big governments and things like that. And when I think about cryptocurrency and freedom, it's about how do we convey this sense of freedom through the world building, also through the story. And I think, I know I keep talking about the Matrix, but this idea of freedom from your body and yourself, and that's what the ciphers represent, right? They are surrogates in a way. They are surrogates for you to
Yeah.
build friendships, but also discover this story, which hopefully down the road we will reveal something that's a little bit more poignant as well. Um, for those who are wondering, I did not leak any secrets, so.
Yeah, no, JX is under NDA, guys. We have a lot of NDA.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it can be a bit hard to interview when I know there are a lot of things we can't talk about. But I think I want to have Jax's initial introduction today with you guys to really show that not only are we considering the story from like a pure game perspective, but we really do consider everything to be like comics, cinematic, the game. They'll all be part of one story that you guys will get to experience and play through and discover through the gameplay. And we from Cypher believe that story is just as big as obviously gameplay is very important. But some stories can make or break a game or make them feel that extra. So we've really gone the extra mile for that. I think
Yeah.
one last question before we can move on to the topic. JX, the factions thing was a thing that we added at the start, and I think I personally love it. I know everyone else loves it, and when the game
Mm.
gets closer to launch, it's definitely going to be a big activity again. Do you think that there's any chance of player-driven story in the future, where perhaps we have some competitions that people that participate in the game can represent their factions and then drive the stories of the game? You know, create their own story, basically, their own narrative in the.
I would love to do that, because the whole idea here is that I see sometimes my role as a storyteller working with my team as just giving everybody the pieces, giving everybody different directions that we could go in, and then
Mhm.
to see that being translated by the community, by different people to tell different stories as well, right,
Mhm.
within the world. And I think when it comes to the factions, this is the point of origin for me, in terms of, because when you think of a faction, it is built by not just the past, but the people within it now, right? And how what actions they decide to take. and I think we will have a lot of fun, and we will be able to prompt people from different factions that have different things to make it feel a little bit user driven, I would say. And so there's rooms for people to, through their actions, through their things, become a part of the story as well. I think there's definitely the opportunity for that. Um, but yeah, maybe we will take that one a bit more slowly, because we have a ton of ground to cover, really a ton of ground to cover in terms of the story here. I think the first world, some of the visuals of the first world has been released. I think the way we've built that, and Tin and the gameplay design team and the art direction team, we have some amazing surprises in how.
Oh, hello, Jax.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, as you were saying, amazing surprises and how.
Yeah, so I think it's like expectations, right? So it's like, if you see a mirror and you touch the mirror, you can't go through the mirror. But what if your hand can go through the mirror, for example? If you see metal, but you are able to bounce off metal, so you're playing with the sense of perception, because this is a digital world, and there's a certain playfulness and joy with that as well. And I think we'll
Yeah.
be doing something to the storytelling with this. Yeah. So, I'm very excited. When I play the game, I'm definitely going to be part of the Shade Syndicate. But yeah.
Oh no, not you too.
But yeah, I think we have my co-writer definitely my co-writer definitely loves the Maximus Templars, and
All right,
so
guys. I'm wrapping up the chat. My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. This MA is now going to end. I'm closing the Discord. I don't want to chat about it anymore. But no, I think that's a great note to end on, JX. I think
Yeah.
we will definitely have more talks in the future where people can start seeing, when people have read a few comic chapters, or people have read about the gods. Hello, wink, wink. When people have read about the gods of the story, when they've experienced the gods in game, when they find out about the NPCs and their history, I think then we can talk about much more in depth. But I think right now, neither me nor you wants to spoil everybody. Wants to spoil everybody on the story.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's
yep.
exciting thing, and I think how everything kind of connects, and the rule. I'm very happy with freedom, the freedom that the Cypherian teams have allowed me to go crazy here, because I can only do certain things in a video game that I can't do in real life, right? Because it's different set of restrictions. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the dream. So thank you so much, JX. I think I'll move to spaceships and some other topics now. But thank you so much for your insight for the community.
No,
And,
thanks.
I
Yeah,
would love to. We will definitely have you back in many more chats.
Yes, and I think next time, I'm happy to get my other co-writer on board as well.
For sure.
I think it's easier to talk about certain things when everybody has experienced certain things, so we can give them little insights, I think, in terms of what may happen next, Easter eggs, or things to look out for. Maybe even ask about why we chose these stories. I think we'll be very happy to chat with them.
I think so
it'll be quite fun. Yeah.
I think after a few chapters of the comics and some more lore drop, then people will definitely see all the things we have in store. Okay, thank you, JX.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Soon.
Okay, talk to you soon.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can now. So
awesome. Sorry about earlier.
That's all good. I could hear you through the silence. I'm not sure everybody else could, but connection and all that business.
Yeah, well, thanks again to JX. It was very nice to hear all about the comics, the process behind it, and what's coming. I'm sure all of us appreciate the fact that the team is working very hard to make sure that the story and the world building of the game is set in place, and it's actually a very essential part of the game. So very nice to hear that. We can move on to the spaceships now, if you're ready, Peak.
I'm never ready, actually. No, I'm kidding. Please. What does the community want to know for spaceships?
Yeah, so we have kind of like a list of questions here from what we've gathered from the community. If anybody else has more questions, feel free to add them to the Fireside Chat questions channel, and we'll look into them if we have time. So starting off, I think one of the main things that we all want to know about is, what are spaceships? What is their purpose in the world of Sipheria?
Wow. I think, I think there's going to be a lot of purposes. But basically, at first, the spaceships was meant to be just a means of, right? So in the first iteration, what they were limited to was just basically an entry and exit atmosphere, right? Like, so you see your character flying on a spaceship, you get dropped off, flex your Lamborghini spaceship or whatever the equivalent is, and then the people that play with you would be like, "Damn, what a badass," right? And then you fly away, and the spaceship didn't do anything, right? But I think, after that, we really pushed for the spaceships to do a lot more, right? We really wanted them to be a key part of the game. So let's talk about the new features, right? In mobile games, you know how you guys have like a storage system where storage is dependent on what you have, basically like the storage of your in-game crafting materials, right? I'm talking about like the in-game currency. So definitely the spaceship you have will give you a benefit to that kind of storage. And as you can see from the teaser's announcement already, spaceships are going to be a big gameplay element. Since we're a dungeon crawler game, they basically replaced what a trinket is going to be, right? So there's not only going to be stat boost, but there's also the active boost that you guys will, right? So that'll be elaborated on, but that's basically our future roguelike mechanic. And as I've said in the disclaimer, but though I cannot guarantee that exact iteration will make it to the final game, but I can guarantee that whatever the theme of your spaceship is, will be the theme that carries through in the final game, right? So if you have an aggression themed spaceship, the future spaceship will reward aggression. If you have a defensive spaceship, the future spaceship will reward defensive, right? And not to mention, you still retain all the other benefits. It's still your mount. You can fly on it. You can look cool. It can still be used for mining resources if we decide to implement that. It will be used for excuse me. It will also be used for recovery from certain dungeons. So spaceships are going to have a lot of in-game utility, not just spaceship, right? That's what we're really pushing.
Right. So it's not just about like, swooping into a dungeon with your spaceship and, others being like, "Oh, wow, that's cool." So it's more of, the actual spaceship has different functions. And for those that in the audience that did not read the last article on the spaceship article series, I believe there was also mentioned that, there will be an effect where rarity will come to play in a way where it might affect
Right.
what kind of benefit you get from each of these in-game uses, right?
Yes. So the simplest way you can talk about it is basically your ship is going to have, right? Your rarity score is going to total up to 100, and it's going to be based off the parts that you make it out of, right? So if you make it out of 5 legendary parts, you'll have a legendary ship. And legendary ships will have top of the line stats, right? If you maybe a bit unluckier, you have to make an uncommon or a common ship, right? So now your ship would still get the same thematic stats, but the numbers wouldn't be as big. Obviously, the ship will eventually be able to be earned in game, but trust me, the grind to get to a legendary ship in game will not be quick. This is basically end game gear.
So essentially, even before the game.
True, you cut it out again, but I think what. Oh, you say something?
Am I good now?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So essentially, even before the game launch, now the Genesis holders have a chance to get like end game gear. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think the idea is that Genesis holders were always going to get a leg up on new people that are playing game launch. Like they have to. I think that's just me. It's not going to be game breaking. They still have to play through all the levels. They still have to play through all the game. But they don't need to farm and grind for an item that everyone else farms and grinds, right?
Right, right. It'll be a little different since there's different rates. So not everybody's gonna get the legendary part, right? But they could still make their way up there essentially, right?
Yeah, they can still. So the way it's set up is you have loot boxes. Each loot box has 5 parts, and you will guarantee be able to make a spaceship. I just won't guarantee that you can make the best ship, if that makes sense. So you have a spaceship for sure. It might not be the best, in which case, you have to go on Discord, chat with some of your fellow Siberians, work out some trade deals. Maybe you have this epic part that they want, and they have this epic part that you want. Maybe you want the defensive ship and they want the offensive ship. You guys can just trade that back and forth until you get a ship that you're happy with, right?
Right, very interesting. So yeah, they'll it's nice how they'll have, the ability to do these things even before the game launches so they can get prepared from
Yeah.
now. Speaking of getting prepared, so the article did mention different types of spaceships. It mentioned that each one would have a different classification, so kind of like the purpose or their main thematic. Could you talk a little bit more about each one of those?
Yeah, sure. Do you have I'm gonna try to remember off the top of my head, but basically, you don't always have the same spaceship, right? Because it could be a reality where you have different spaceships depending on your need. Obviously, you've got your utility outside of the game, but there's also a consideration within the because spaceships are going to be an actual trinket item, right? So maybe on a very tough level, you have to opt for the mobility or for the defensive class. What this means is that the spaceship will offer you not only statistic benefits to your mobility and defensiveness in this case, but also active benefits, right? Active changes to actually how you can dash, how you gain HP within the game itself. So there's actually benefits to having multiple spaceships with different classifications because that now you're much more ready for the game, right? If you need to have a level where you have to rush the boss down, you can go for damage. If you're very confident, you can pick the high risk, high reward ship, right? Where you're massively rewarded for damage, but you take a lot of extra damage. So for the really high mechanical players, that might be the ship. But by having an assortment of spaceships, you will be able to meet the demands of the game level.
Okay, okay, very interesting. So pretty much people could essentially get like depending on the type of spaceship, they could tailor to a different play style. Um,
Exactly. They have, and we want them to tailor to a different play style, right? Maybe they have a boost that's really good for an aggro Dopamist build, or maybe they have a really good defensive Andor build. That is the kind of considerations that they're going to have.
okay, okay, all good stuff. Yeah, I'm very happy that spaceships will have all these sort of functionalities, and that the team is considering this even before the launch of the game, of course. And the Genesis Cipher holders have the benefit that they can potentially get this earlier on. So that's pretty cool. And speaking of the Genesis Cipher holders, though, we did mention that the Inu holders would be getting an advantage or some sort of a head start with their spaceship loot.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about how that will happen?
We are basically going to give Inu an extra week or two. The exact number I can't remember. Basically, each week you can have drop one spaceship, and one spaceship is 5 parts, right? Inu is going to have some extra drops from holders because, as you said, they've held for longer. So they will have more chances at getting it and more parts to trade.
Okay, okay. So to recap, essentially, Enus will have a little bit more, like maybe a couple or a few more loot boxes, right?
Yep, exactly.
Nice, nice.
And I think we're just gonna keep tabs, basically, because just so you guys are aware, spaceships are going to be a claim only kind of thing. And the reason for this is because I don't want people that silently hold 150 NFTs to just have a bunch of spaceship parts that they're never gonna talk about, right? So what we're actually going to do is actually going to take a look at how many were minted, like how many were claimed, how many spaceships are floating within the actual game economy, right? And if we deem that if that number is too low, we can definitely consider having another week's worth of drops where the parts are pure random, right? That is definitely something we're keeping tabs on. But I want people to have spaceships for those that actually care about the final game, not just for those that are like holding a big bag for a very long time, right?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And now that you're talking about that, could you explain a little more of what's the process flow for how the Genesis holders can get their spaceships?
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, every week we're basically going to have a loot box drop, right? And these loot boxes themselves are inherently tradable. So if you want to, they're basically free, yes. And if you want to, you can like trade these loot boxes to other people, or you can just open the loot box and you'll get your parts. And the way you open the loot box is simply at the website. So every week you'll have 5 parts of a different ship, and those 5 parts guaranteed will make you one completed. Now, sorry, to build up on that point, the trading process comes in when, let's say, you have 1 or 2 NFTs, right? Now you have a bigger assortment of parts to choose from, and you have a way to trade off certain parts for other parts. And there's also, sorry, I forgot. And there's also the scrapping mechanic where basically we understand that there's going to be a lot of uncommon parts that common don't get a use. So there will be a clear scrapping mechanic that lets you upgrade from uncommon to common, so on and so forth, all the way up to legend. So we definitely have that in mind, and we are not going to let a bunch of uncommons sit in your inventory because we don't like that.
Right. We don't want to end up with like in other games where sometimes you end up with a bunch of pretty much scrap, like just junk that you can't use, right?
Yes.
So
exactly.
you guys pretty much considered that as well.
Quickly to answer Manuel's question, like I said, you will have a 1-week time frame to claim loot box. Like it's a really long time, and we're gonna like remind you guys every week. It's 1 week to claim a loot box, right? I think that is plenty of time. And like I said before, I don't want you guys to have to compete with someone that just forgot about it and now has a bunch of spaceships. So that's why it's claimed. So you have 1 week, and then that week cycle is gone. It may come back. I make no guarantee of that. And if enough of you guys have minted, I probably wouldn't.
Okay, right. So yeah, it's very important to make sure that you do sign in every day, or sorry, every week at least, and claim your loot box. Then, or else you might not have the chance to get it again. And also to add on to that, I know that there's also the fact that a lot of this stuff will happen off chain. So most of the main features of the spaceships would be off chain. So you would do it within your very own account inventory,
Right.
and so you don't need to necessarily approve a transaction each time you're going to do one thing, like building a spaceship or scrapping or claiming your loot box. I think it's mainly for those that if they want to trade, right, they'll have the function to mint, whether it's minting the loot box or the parts or the spaceships. And then also, like, by minting this, you'll do it with Polygon. So we'll make sure that we give a tutorial on how to do that. And then like another option is if you do want to keep it the NFT for full ownership, like promoting the purpose of the blockchain, right? Then you can also do that as well. But otherwise, you can keep it in the account and it'll be stored there safely.
Exactly. I think Mara is asking about on-chain and off-chain. Let me go into a bit of a story about like why we're doing it this way. Basically, all the features like building, scrapping, and constructing a ship, changing out parts will be done off-chain. And the reason for that is because there's a random process to the loot box generation, and doing that on-chain brings a lot of risks with it that we did not want to take, and we did not want to subject people to to like people manipulating the system and maximizing the spaceship parts and whatever. So if you just want to build by yourself, you don't want to. 1 second. Sorry. If you just want to build by yourself and you don't want to trade with anybody, you can keep that all off chain. Right? But if you want to trade with other people, if you want to, barter and haggle for parts back and forth, then we give you the right to mint it on chain, where you can then trade it, and then you can bring it back, off chain where you can then build the ship, right? So the reason is we want to let you guys build, we want to let you guys trade, we want to let you guys do everything. And to quickly answer Koa's question, yes, you can keep the high level parts without minting a spaceship, and then acquire more parts. No problem with that at all. But what I'm telling you is the parts we give you will be enough to make a spaceship, and you can always disassemble it after. So, no problem.
And I think one thing that we have not discussed here is the fact that there will be, an Inu and a Neko exclusive spaceship. Can you talk a little bit more about those?
Yes, I'm very happy to talk about that. Basically, we're going to have a ship only, and the reason for that is, we want them to have their own artistic flair, right? So, the Inu ships will only be given to. Hello, am I breaking up? You
We hear you fine.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Sorry, what was the question again? My brain just blanked.
Oh, about the no worries. It's about the Inu and the Neko exclusive spaceships.
Oh, good. Inu and Neko exclusive spaceships, right? So those spaceships in the game will actually have benefits directly related to that race, right? So as you can see, if you read the post a little bit more carefully, those ships give benefits directly to the sub-race abilities, right? So the ships will actually be able to buff whatever your in-game ability is. So, if you're a cosmic Inu and it's about the gravity beam, right? Then the ship can buff your gravity. So it's really focused on making a specific ship that tailors a certain place. And you need to flex that you're an Inu and an Echo holder.
Yeah, that's true. I can't wait till once the game comes out. I have my very own exclusive ships that the people that come in later might not have. It'll be a nice thing to show off for sure. And thanks for that small leak you mentioned. I think you mentioned a skill there, but
I mean,
maybe it is a leak, maybe it's not.
if I remember correctly, the names were on the boost to begin with, right? So
Right.
You guys can infer. But I mean, you guys will see icons in the description soon, so I can't wait to announce those. But a little bit of patience.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for those that want to get all the full details, make sure to look at the Spaceship article series, and you can look at all of that in the Spaceships Atlas page, so that everything about spaceships, how they'll launch, etc. There will be an upcoming article this week, right before the launch of the spaceship, so that you have all the details about claiming, minting, and bringing back off chain, etc. So that you're ready for all the juicy stuff that's to come. I would like to know if there's any other questions, Crypt, from the community that we hadn't responded yet.
From the community,
how many weeks in advance will mint Inus before Nekos? What was it exactly? Was it 1 week or was it 2?
For the Inus and Nekos?
No, like how many?
okay,
Like
so
the extras
it's per
for the Inus. It's per type, right? And then Inus get an extra week of a certain type, correct?
Yeah. So the Inus will have pretty much an extra week where they will get randomized extra loot boxes.
Right, that's right. Yeah. So there's going to be themed loot boxes, and then there's going to be pure random loot boxes, which Inus will get an extra of.
Yeah, that's
So we
correct.
might want to give them information about, we mentioned that Inu holders will be able to actually claim the loot box earlier, but we're going to have a slight change in this mechanic, right? Do you want to elaborate more on this?
Yeah, I think Peak already mentioned this, but happy to recap there. So essentially, Inus will instead of minting earlier, they'll have an extra week that the Neko holders won't get, and basically this extra week will give the Inus, let's say, a couple extra loot boxes per Inu NFT. So they will be randomized, and they will be, I believe, based on each of the non-exclusive spaceships. So
Okay, he cut out again. But is he back? Okay, basically to summarize, Inus will get an extra roll of loot boxes. Yeah, exactly. You
yep.
have it correct. Basically,
So
Inus
it's
will get
extra
extra
loot
loot
boxes,
boxes,
guys. So
but
for
the
Inus,
timing. But
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm saying the timing, because we want everybody to mint spaceships at the same time, right? We want them to be talking, to be saying like, oh, like, I got this spaceship, I got that spaceship, right?
Yeah, correct.
So the bonuses we give for Enid will come at the end, because we would like everyone to mint together, right? I think that's more fun that way.
So the launch will begin at the same time, but it's just that for those wondering, the Inus will get extra loot boxes lah. That's about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
To quickly answer Matter's question about naming the NFTs. Unfortunately for spaceships, right? For spaceships specifically, because spaceships are going to be integrated together into the game, it doesn't make sense for us to name the spaceships, right? Because they're going to become in-game items in the future. So for the spaceships, no naming as of yet. But for the NFT naming, that's actually a great idea. I can't answer that for you right now, but I will definitely take that to the vault with me, okay? Because I like it. That's a great idea. But for spaceships, unfortunately not. I will shoot down your idea for spaceships. But for NFTs, can be discussed.
Yeah, and just for anybody having more questions about the claiming and how it'll work and the minting, again, there will be an article coming up this week right before the launch, so that we'll share all the details. We'll share all the details about which weeks are for which holders, how you can actually do the claiming and minting, etc. So fret not if you are still a little bit confused. And we'll also be able to, we'll also be on the Discord answering questions after the release of that article. So we'll make sure that you guys understand and can also claim your spaceships.
Hey guys, also I really want to reiterate this, right? Like, I really want to make a good game, right? And what this means is that there are certain things that just will not make it to the final game, right? Like if something is too busted, if it changes from the design direction, I will have to remove it and I will have to change it to something else, right? And what I'm trying to say is that game balance and the final product is everything, right? Which is why we make a disclaimer, and I want to reiterate right now that please do not trade spaceships based on the stats written right now, because those are highly, highly subjective to change. What I suggest you guys actually trade on is the looks, what spaceship you'd like, as well as what theme you're after, right? Are you a defensive player? Are you an aggro player? Because that I can promise I can keep, right? But if somebody asks me 6 months from now, like, Pete, why did my ship say 20% attack, but now it's 5% damage? Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I've been shouting from the top of my lungs since this month, right? So please find one that you like the looks of and find the classification that you like, okay? And we're going to have rarity scores, so you can actually directly compare rarity scores. So okay, yes, you can buy sell based on rarity scores because rarity scores actually directly affects the final item. But if any of you comes to me in 5 months and asks, "Hey, bro, why 10% now?" I'm going to shake my head in silence.
Yeah. So just to clarify, there, you're talking specifically about like the stat boosts, like the percentage, let's say movement speed, percentage, or that kind of stuff, right?
Let me answer Duke's question. I'll explain it very simply, right? A spaceship has 5 parts, right? And the rarity score is 100. What this means is that a legendary spaceship part is worth basically 20 score, right? So if you have 5 legendary spaceship parts, you have 20. You have 100 score maximum, and this score dictates what the final number is, right? So the rarity score will directly dictate what the final number is. What I might change is what the numbers are based on the ship itself, right? Okay, don't understand. There we go. So the only thing important for these spaceships, ducks, sorry. The only thing important for these spaceships, to be very clear, is rarity score and classification and looks. Okay? Those are the 3 things you should trade on. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, very important stuff there, guys. Make sure I mean, if you do decide to trade, make sure you do it based on these aspects. Like, don't base it off of the things that could change.
Yeah.
So just make sure you take that disclaimer.
Because I can guarantee that a movement themed spaceship will still be about movement when the game launches, right? I can't make sure that 10% movement speed is still 10% movement speed because it's very possible that is just overpowered. That's it.
Yep, correct. Okay, I think we should be good for spaceships here, and we can move on to the next topic if you guys are good.
Yes. But one last thing. Just so I can answer Sumner's question properly. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name there. Basically, legendary spaceships are if you get all 5 legendaries, right? But basically, you'll be able to put a mishmash of like epics and rares and uncommons, and all of that will total to a rarity score, which will then give you the average rarity. So, just so I don't want you guys to be confused and think that you guys have to get the exact same part, the exact same rarity for everything. No, you can build it with a mishmash, and then the rarity score will be the average for you. Okay.
All right. Anything else on spaceships?
No. Yes, what matters is rarity. Just think about it as you're playing World of Warcraft, right? You're playing video games, you get legendary items. Legendary items are amazing. All right? That's what I want you guys to follow. Rarity score, like people have been saying, rarity score, classification, and looks.
Yep, and again, just to recap, make sure you read, if you haven't, the latest article. I'll share it in the general chat. That talks a little bit more about the types, the rarity score, and their classification. So I know we have to move on to the next topic. So
that's all good.
That was detailed.
So what is the next topic? Is it the sorry?
So the next thing in line is the dashboard. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Awesome. And little do you guys know, Truco is handling the dashboard together with the team. So the roles have been reversed. Uno reverse card. You know, I'm asking the questions now. I'm not trying to deal with you. You tried to deal with me. That's right, boys.
Should I be scared?
Only if you don't know the answer. But okay. First
okay.
Very. What can you tell me? What's the main objective of the SIPHER dashboard? Like, what's the goal?
Yeah, so there's different things that will happen with the launch of the dashboard and different features that will come. But in terms of the main objective, I think I could probably summarize it as, providing the users so everybody within the SIPHER ecosystem, provide them with kind of a hub where they will have their own Aether Labs account and they can interact with the whole ecosystem. So I'm not sure how much has been mentioned about Aether Labs, but basically, to keep it short, it's the name of the game studio created by the SIPHER team. So basically, with this Aether Labs account and having access to the dashboard, you will also have like integrations with the SIPHER marketplace and also the video game once it's launched. So it'll kind of be like the central location to manage everything related to SIPHER. So for example, in the beginning, the users, will be able to view and track all their SIPHER assets or in-game items. So like NFTs, tokens, any airdrops, the sculptures, merchandise, etc. And then later on, one of the key features here is that the dashboard will serve basically as the base layer for the loyalty program. So all the loyalty program features are going to be released on top of this new dashboard.
Yep. And I think it's basically gonna tie in with the future game, like daily quests and stuff also, right? Like just like a one-stop shop. So
Right, correct, yeah. You'll basically go there. Like right now, the users go to the website, and if they want to see their NFTs, they go to a link on the top right that goes to dashboard. But that one, it's pretty simple. It's just you can see your NFTs, you can see your token claim, but essentially it'll be an upgrade where you can view everything, like not just your NFTs and tokens. You can view anything about related to the any airdrops you may have, or merchandise that you're entitled to claim, etc. So it'll be like the central location for everything.
awesome. And did you say there was going to be integrations with what platforms again?
Yeah, so there will be integrations with all the different platforms that are under the SIPHER ecosystem. So one of them being the marketplace, once that launches, the video game as well. There will also be integrations down the road with Discord and Twitter. So users should be able to link their Discord, link their Twitter. And a lot of these things will also work together with the loyalty program that's going to come out later. So essentially, once the loyalty program features come out, the users will be able to complete quests, and these quests will be related to community engagement at first. So you can link your Discord, and let's say if you join a faction, you can get rewards for that. So rewards in terms of nanochips and XP.
Yep.
You can also, like anything related to the Nexus, so voting or building a project proposal, those things could also be quests, or like even performing tasks from or helping out with the Twitter engagement. So like retweets or likes, etc., could also be some of the quests in there. And then down the road, once the marketplace comes out, there might be quests related to the marketplace. So like for trading, for example. And once the video game comes out, there might also be some other quests related to the video game that could also affect your leveling and nanochips, and the quest for the loyalty program.
Okay, awesome. And could you, before we start taking users' questions, right, can you walk me through the phases of which we're planning to roll out again? Like, do you have detailed plans for the phases yet, or just tentative phases so far that you can release?
So I think I can share a little bit about that. So the phases, I guess the first one would be the release of the new user dashboard. So that's what's going to come out at the same time of the Spaceships, which is expected to be the 31st of March. So by end of this month, you'll get the new dashboard, and that's where you'll be able to perform all the functions related to Spaceships. But this dashboard will have pretty much the basic functionality. So the users will be able to claim, view their SIPHER portfolio, so like their NFTs, their tokens, and they'll be able to manage and claim like any airdrops or rewards, like for example sculptures, the merchandise, their SIPHER token airdrop for the ones that did get that. And so that's kind of like the main functionalities of that first phase. And then a quick update about for those individuals that purchase like Necos for the higher tiers during the Dodge auction, you'll be receiving the digital items for claiming these benefits. So you can expect to receive like a digital item for claiming your merchandise, and then also a sculpture NFT for those of you that purchase the gold tier or higher. So essentially, once the new dashboard launches, you'll be able to get these digital items. The redemption for these will come at a later point, I believe during April, but at least you'll have those digital items right when the dashboard launches, or pretty quickly after that. So you can expect that. And then after that, so that's phase one. Then after that, the following phases will mainly focus on rolling out, all these loyalty program features. So being able to complete quests, being able to earn nano chips and XP, and being able to redeem your rewards with nano chips. So that's kind of what's coming first. Then down the road, there will be more like integrations with the marketplace and video game, but that'll be later on.
Okay, awesome. I think we can take some user questions now, just so people are more clear about how it works, etc. There is
Sure.
one from, excuse me. 1 second. There's a question from Madra that we have to put on hold because I need to check with the backend team. But Iron Mars is asking, having multiple NFTs mean receiving multiple comic books, one comic per NFT? Question mark.
This question is about comics or the dashboard?
Oh, sorry. That is a direct comment. That is a direct comment question. But just to quickly answer right now, comics will be basically the NFTs will give you a direct pass to reading the comics, because we think this is the simplest way and the most straightforward way to add value to your existing comic book NFT. That's right, to your existing Cypher NFTs. Are there any other questions you guys have for the loyalty program? I'm trying to look through Crypt. Is there anything that I've missed?
I see there one question saying digital items are different from sculptures NFTs. Yeah, the answer to that is yes. Oh, hello? Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, yes. Please answer the question.
Okay, sorry. So question was, digital items are different from sculpture NFTs? The answer is yes. So digital item will be tied to your account. So once you log into the dashboard, you'll be pretty much be able to create your Aether Labs account, and that's where all these digital items will be tied to. So it'll be essentially like a claim pass for the merchandise, for example. But then the difference is that it's not an NFT. So for sculptures, you will get an NFT. So you will, like the NFT, the wallet addresses that purchased during the Dodge auction that are eligible for their sculptures will first receive these sculpture NFTs based on their wallet address.
Okay, I think that was pretty clear.
Yeah, next one, you answered it already, Peak, but just to mention it here for the audience, the dashboard you will be able to link to both. So to the wallet, of course, that's a very important aspect. That's the minimum requirement to create your account. And then the gaming account that will also be merged in together with the Aether Labs ID.
Hello, guys, can you hear me?
Yes, Crypt, please.
One of our viewers asking, actually, does spaceships have short-term utility?
For now, we I think for now we're staying away from short-term utility for spaceships specifically because we're really full steam ahead for the game, right? Like everything is going to be used like this. The spaceships will be an in-game item, and because of that, all the utility will be pushed for the game. And as we've discussed, there's going to be a lot of uses for the spaceship. But because it's an in-game item, we don't think it's a smart idea to have external utility as well as in-game utility, because it just creates a mess down the line.
I
We are
did
also,
see.
Sorry, true. We are also considering actually verifying your role on Discord for spaceship owners, right? So we will run spaceship only owners based events in the future. If it's something that we are still considering, but in the short term, while the game is quite some distance away, right? We want to give spaceship owners some sort of activity to do along in Discord or in the community, right? So it's something we're still considering, and hopefully we can release it, lah. Right?
Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood. Yes. So in kind of like verifying as a spaceship owner, definitely we will do something special for spaceship owners because we care about the people that interact with all steps of the Cypher ecosystem, right? So that's definitely for sure. Herbivore. Okay, I think we'll take one last question for comments, and then we will wrap up for dashboard. Herbivore mentions. You mentioned in AMA that the comments will contain random codes which can be used to redeem resources, cosmetics, etc., etc. Is that correct? Will all additional comics contain the same code, or will they have different ones? Can a code be used multiple times, etc., etc.? You are going to have to find out when the comics come, my friend, because the quicker the early bird gets the worm, right? So I can't. I don't want to say too much more on this. Okay.
Yeah, Peak, if I may jump in here real quick,
Mhm.
going back to the question about the utility for Spaceship. So I think that one of a few things that we were thinking about, like internally, and I actually did see these being suggested by the community, is like making, leveraging the Nexus program. So basically, leveraging the community to raise their hands, and if they're able to do it, work on, let's say, mini games for the Spaceship. So if anybody is able to do that and can make a proposal, request a budget, etc., and create it, hey, like, more power to the community, right? So keep these things in mind as well. If there's certain things that the team cannot necessarily work on right now because of the focus on the game, there's also the community wallet that and then the Nexus program where we could potentially have other individuals create these sort of projects.
Okay, I think that's clear. I think we could wrap up this this fireside. I hope everybody has been. I hope you guys could see what we're doing with regards of the story, with regards to the dashboard, and as well as the comics. I'm very excited for the story personally. I've tried to keep myself as blind as possible so I can experience the story fresh first with you guys. So I'm very excited to be able to do that. Thank you all for joining today, and yeah. Thank you very much. Sorry. The next fireside will be with Tin or Alan, but hopefully Tin, so we can get you guys a further update on the current state of the game as well as development. Okay. So me and Tin have been very busy on the development front. So we'll be happy to chat to you guys about that in the future. All right. I'll stick around in the Discord chat for a bit, but I think we can close the lounge. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Talk to you later.